The time, it's 9:42, and there is news in the weird and wacky world that is F1. We're going to have to talk to Danny Rick and Carlos Sainz, both of whom have chimed in. Hindsight, apparently, in life and F1 is always 2020. They've talked about McLaren and their success and whether they were right or wrong or could have predicted it and have stayed at the papaya colour team. We need to talk about Lando Norris, who again has been endearing in his vulnerability, being open and honest about his weaknesses, working on them going forward, that he needs to focus on the here and now and struggles. So too, we need to talk about Charles Leclerc, who has said some things about Mattia Binotto, which I think are petty, any. Charles Leclerc, man known as the modern day Jean Alesi. Oh, the humanity. Let's get to Charles. First priority order, because it's techie. All of the Ferrari bods have come out, chimed in indeed on Mattia Binotto, who's become CTO slash COO even of the one they call Sauber, soon to be Audi. Here's what Frederick Vasseur had to say about Mattia Binotto. I'm focused on my own team, and I know perfectly the fact that it's difficult to do a Formula One team, not only in Switzerland. I think it's tough everywhere. What's he alluding to, ladies and gents? He's alluding to exactly what Eddie Jordan was talking about. Indeed, if you want to have success in Formula One, there is a blueprint. That blueprint is to base your HQ out of Middle England. Please see Oxfordshire. Please see Woking. Please see McLaren, Mercedes and Red Bull out of Milton Keynes. Sauber come Audi have chosen to base themselves out of Germany, Switzerland. How's that going to work? Audi soon to be F1 flotsam and jetsam, in my humble opinion. So too has Lauren Meckers chimed in on this situation. Here's what he had to say. In terms of skill set for Mattia Binotto, there is no question that Mattia has everything to make it work there and probably anywhere else in the world. You can hear in the tone that this fella is alluding to the same thing that Frederick Vasseur is. How do you have success in Formula One if indeed the blueprint is to base yourself out of England? That's where all the god tier minds and the intellectual properties, all the suppliers that will turn things around in short order, 24 to 48 hours. How do you have success if you're Mattia Binotto and you're not based in Middle England? Meckers continues, so I guess these guys, aka Sauber, are going to become an even stronger competitor as a result of the Mattia Binotto hiring in the very near future. Oh, the humanity. And Charles Leclerc has chimed in, as you'd only expect him to. The context for this is, you remember Mattia Binotto cost the one they call Charles Leclerc, aka a modern day Jean Alesi, the Monaco Grand Prix in 2022, did he not? Box. No, don't box. And again, keep that front and centre of mind. Charles Leclerc had this to say. I think a big part of Mattia's life was in Switzerland as well, so I guess he knows very well the culture and that will fit him very well. He continues, and he can also take his previous experience on a team like Ferrari to benefit such a team for sure. What's he alluding to, ladies and gents? Charles Leclerc, aka modern day Jean Alesi, continues. So yeah, there's definitely lots of things he can bring from learnings from his past experience to a team like Sauber. What might those learnings be, Charles Leclerc? Are you alluding to the fact that he mismanaged you? Are you alluding to the fact that that photo where he was chastising you, pointing the finger very openly before the world's press and media? Is that what we're talking about, Charles Leclerc? Maybe I'm reaching here, but I think this is Charles being a tad petty. Overtures of revenge in his tone, are there not? There are a lot of learnings he can take from his past experience to a team like Sauber. I think Charles Leclerc is still a little bit salty, and rightfully so. Mattia Binotto, but as far as F1 aficionados are concerned, absolutely mishandled the jewel in the Scuderia Ferrari crown, being the Monegasque man they call modern day Jean Alesi. Oh, the humanity. Let's talk about Danny Rick. because he's talked about McLaren and leaving them. We know that in F1 and in life that hindsight is always 2020. Had Danny Ric and Carlos Sainz known that McLaren would at this point, August 2024, develop the race lead machine, that they would have stayed. Reflecting on that, Danny Ric says, yeah, you know what, mate, it's hard to say. Obviously, most of my time there was a bit of a struggle or a challenge. So look, did I predict that they were going to be the race lead? I'm not going to say yes, because I don't think I did. No kidding, Sherlock, aka Honey Badger, Danny Ric, because you would have stayed had you known. Hindsight, they say, is 2020 always. Everybody can be a genius Monday morning quarterback. So I guess from that point of view, it is a bit of a surprise that 2 years in, less than 2 years, say, they're probably currently the quickest package on the grid. But I also don't look at it like that. Oh man, if I could have had that. Oh, Danny Ric. If indeed you could have had that man that's 35 years old and struggling in what is ostensibly the Red Bull Junior team. Lest we forget that his time in McLaren wasn't brilliant. He depends on a stable platform as far as the chassis, and that's exactly what he didn't have at McLaren. No longer was Danny Ric the last of the late breakers. He couldn't be, because he didn't have the machine requisite, and that's why he left to go to new pastures. Oh, the humanity. Hindsight, some say, 2020. That's how the sport is. You take your hat off to them. However, anyone in the sport that's doing well, developing, yada, yada, yada. Here's what Carlos Sainz Jr. had to say, who also left, by the way, McLaren. And again, must be regretting it now, destined for pastures new. Williams, headed up by James Vowles. Here's what Carlos had to say. I wouldn't say that I've ever predicted it, but I think I left McLaren 4 years ago. I did have the feeling the team was going in the right way and it was in a good place to be. I enjoyed my time there. So when I left with a feeling that it was more maybe a matter of time that they were going to reach the mountaintop. It was going to take them 2 years, 4 years, 6 years to be McLaren again, which we all know how much success they've had in history. Oh, the humanity. Becky. And oh, by the way, Lando Norris has given another interview with Jake of the High Performance podcast, being very, very open. I do wonder sometimes about this Lando fella, whether he's too open as far as optimizing and maximizing for his performance going forward. Surely there is a line beyond which F1 drivers don't need to cross. He again has talked about his difficulties, his mental difficulties sometimes, that in real time, during his first race victory, he was over-managing, overthinking, thinking about how his celebration was going to look like. He said, ironically, that when he was trying to maximise for his speed, in thinking about his braking points and the point at which he's going to turn in, trying to maximise and be overly cerebral even, Lando Norris realises that this is counterproductive, that this indeed makes him slower in the car. It would be remiss of me to not point out the irony then that Lando Norris continues to expound therein on his weaknesses, that he overthinks, he says, that he was considering on his first victory what his celebration was going to look like, overthinking in the car in real time. And again, that's Lando Norris's weakness. I think that this vulnerability is endearing even as an F1 driver, but I also think it's not necessarily going to lead Lando to the mountaintops to optimise for his not insubstantial potential, especially when you have a chap called Oscar Jack Piastri in the other car. Oh, the humanity. Between now and next time, the prosecution rests. No further questions, Your Honour.